There is power in a story, and we all have a story. Our stories, if told, can inspire, encourage, and motivate. Hi, I am Rhonda, and welcome to the Book of Lives. Hi everyone, welcome to a special Book of Lives feature. Today we are highlighting a remarkable individual from Nigeria. Moshood is his name. He is a biology teacher and the author of 6 books. He is passionate about teaching, education, and literary advancement. Here is his story. What inspired you to start writing?
That is the question, right? What inspires me to write? Well, uh, my the story of my writing began when I was very young, and this story uh, was birthed by two factors, or could I say, the story is placed on two pillars of love. So the first one uh, is love of reading, while the second is love of family. I think love of reading came first, but that does not mean I do not that my love for my family did not precede my love for reading. Of course, I've always loved my family, but as far as writing is concerned, I can say that love of reading came before love of family came, and I will explain. When I was in primary school, I was very young. I discovered books, mostly Yoruba literature in my native language, written by D.O. Fagunwa, Ogbojú ọdẹ nínú igbó Irúnmọlẹ̀, Àdìtú Elédùmarè, Ìrìnkèrindò nínú igbó Elégbèje, Ìrèké Oníbùdó. Those are titles of books. You wouldn't understand what those mean, of course, but some of them must have been translated. Of course, some of them have been translated into English now. Like this one, a Forest of 1,000 Demons by Professor Wole Soyinka. Um, I, I think that is the title. I never read it, but I've seen the book, but I've not had the opportunity to read it yet. Now, it was it was magical, you know. When I discovered reading, it's I was excited. I did not know one could be in one's room, grab a book, and then you feel like you are across the world. You feel like you are in some fanciful places that one could only fantasize in one's dreams or imaginations. I was mesmerized. It was beautiful. And one thing about books is that when you reading fills you with knowledge, it fills you with energy that you are bound to give back. You want to give it back. Like it is like when we were young, they will be afraid that if we ate too much food, then we will be too aggressive in the house. We will be too playful. We believe that we would have too much energy, and when you play too much, they will insult you. Like you have eaten too much. Well, that is practically true because leads food provides energy for the body, and when you have energy is meant to be expended. So it's like when you take in food and the food is catabolized and it is oxidized and you have energy, then the energy has to be used. and then you feel pressed to involve in physical activities and all that. Well, depending on the individuality, uh the, just individuality, yes, depending on whom the person we're talking about is. And some people don't involve in physical activities like others do. Now, when I fell in love with reading, I was always eager to talk, and people insulted me a lot that I talked too much and all that. So at some point, I just switched to writing. So I had so much to say, and if I could not say them uh, verbally, then I tried textual expression of all that I had to say. And I remember when I was in primary school uh, to secondary school, I think in the United States, that's what they call high school. So when I was in junior high school or junior secondary school year, I used to write love letters for people, for my classmates, because I had read books, I came across words that I felt pressed to use, and they would come to me, they would tell me about a girl that they like, and they would like, there were no phones then. So there was no way that one could send messages to someone by WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or Instagram, or not. There was none of that. So the only way you could express love, if you could not say it face to face with the person, is to write a letter, and most of them could not do that. So they came to me. I would write the letters for them, and I would get paid. Some of them could not pay with money. They would give me the eggs on their rice, the food that they came to school with. Some of them would buy ice creams for me. I started, like, wow, so reading could make me this popular. Did not end there. Uh, After school hours, when others left the places of residence, my some of my friends and some of my classmates and other students I did not know would stay behind for me to read the D.O. Fagunwa books to them about hunters that go into evil forests to find something for the king of the village, and then they would face obstacles on their way. They will face challenges. They will fight demons. They will fight imps. They will fight goblins. So it was interesting. I will read to them, and people will be carried away. They will be like, "Wow, wow, wow!" I bet some of them even must have been, attracted to reading at the time, that they would not only want to listen to me read, they would have gone to get their own books. So what inspired me to start writing? Love of reading. When you read, then you are filled with knowledge that you just have to express. If you cannot express them orally, then you express them textually. People who are filled with knowledge can hardly hold it. Well, based on individuality anyway. Not everybody likes to talk. Not everybody likes to express. Expressiveness uh, is done in different or is exhibited in different ways. Now, the second is love of family. The second pillar is love of family. So uh, of course, I have two sisters, and they they always liked to listen to me because I had read some texts about the Great Britain, the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, the Macedonia, ancient Egypt, blah blah. All those, they always wanted to hear about them. So I would tell them about those places, Alexander the Great, Cleopatra, blah blah blah, and they were like, wow, wow, wow. One thing about human beings is that we're creatures of imaginations. So we that is what dreams are about. Everybody has dreams. So dreams are uh, expressions, or could I say reflections of our imaginations. And as human beings, we are creatures of imaginations and storytelling. We love to tell stories, or we love to listen to stories. So when people cannot tell stories, then to others, then they tell stories to themselves. If not while they are awake, then while they are asleep. So they dream about stories, like telling themselves stories. Sometimes the stories are scary, sometimes the stories are beautiful, and sometimes they are romantic. So my sister loved to listen to my stories. Sometimes I exaggerated. I tell them about Achilles of Troy, Paris of Troy. Okay, Achilles did not come from Troy anyway, but Achilles killed the Trojan prince. Is Prince Hector or something like that. I'm not sure I'm saying the stories correctly, but those things they were attracted to them when I told them. And when there was no more stories to tell, then I began to write them for them. Began to write stories, long stories, and they'll be like, "Oh, wow, wow, it's so beautiful. I love it. I love it." So they always asked for more. They always pestered me to write, even when I was not writing. They would call me, write for us now. Finish the ones that you are working on. Let us see what happened to this person. Let us see what happened to that person. And you know, when there is demand, then there will be supply. I don't know what they call that in economics, probably law of demand and supply or something. The higher the demand, the higher the quantity producible. Just let's say it that way. Now, I wrote more books for them. So what inspired me to write? Love of reading, which gave birth to love of storytelling and love of writing. And then that was probably not enough to still make me write books or take it as a career, if not for the existence or involvement of my siblings. So they turned me into a writer, into a commercial uh, writer. They made me commercialize my writing, because they gave me the encouragement and the confidence. And when I saw them read the books, and I watched how they were attached or addicted to reading my books, I thought, why couldn't I just show these books to other people? Some of my earlier books were written for my sisters, Abibat and Adijat, before I showed them to the outside world. So what inspired me to start writing? Love of reading and love of family.
Did you ever struggle to balance teaching with your love for writing?
Of course, of course, of course. There is a mild struggle to achieve a balance between teaching and writing. Teaching is here and writing is here. Teaching is my professional occupation. It is what brings money for sustenance, while writing is what I have most passion for. So this is passion versus profession. And somehow I have to, unite them in an amalgamation of beautiful conflicts. I have to merge them in a beautiful way. And that is what I do. It's not easy, but teaching takes most of the time.
How did your experiences in Nigeria shape your teaching and storytelling?
Yes, my personal experiences have shaped my teaching and writing, especially when I was at the College of Education and the university. I involved in student politics, and this made me understand human psychology to some extent. So I had I had to learn how to win the hearts of the electorate, the students that will vote me into office. When I was at the College of Education, I was a member of the Students Representative Council, SROC, of the Student Union Government, and then I was the president elect. I contested and won the presidency of the Students Union Government in 2008. Now, when I got to the university, I contested and won the presidency of the Nigerian Association of Science Students, NAS. And how how did I always manage to win elections? It was because I understood uh, human psychology to some extent. I mean, to some extent. I'm not a psychologist, but you know, I studied. I studied the people I wanted votes from. I I researched them. I found out what they wanted to hear, and that was what I told them. Even even when people claim to have already had someone they want to cast their votes for, I will still find a way to change their mind, to drop the preferred candidates for me. And one thing I understood about them was that they want someone who is everywhere. They go here, they hear your name. They go to another place, they always hearing your name everywhere. And I was practically everywhere. I was everywhere you go, you would meet me on campus. Everywhere. So, but that is not the point. The point is the art of changing people's mind, the art of human psychology, or could I say the science of human psychology. I understood it. So when I stand before people, I studied them, I knew what they wanted to hear, and that is what I tell them, and they drop whoever they're supporting then to support me instead. And that was how I got to win elections. And I also understood, at my university days, students did not care about what you had to say. They just wanted to see flamboyance. That was what I gave them. Flamboyance in language. You just give them big words, conglomeration of absurdities calculated to bamboozle the hearts. They don't care about the meaning. You just use big words, bamboozle, perplexity. You just combine them and be like, oh wow, this guy is brilliant. This guy's right. So I understood that, and I gave them that, and I won elections. Now, when I got into the classroom, I realized that most students were not interested in biology. They were especially afraid of diagrams because the diagrams are always drawn on the board, diagrams of amoeba, of paramecium. They don't even know what those are. So when I studied them, I understood that that was the problem, and I changed the method of teaching. I began to bring pictures and videos instead of just uh, you know putting up diagrams on the board. We used whichever specimen we could find that we could look at with the microscopes and all that. would do that. I involved them in the learning. I was not the giver. I do not make myself giver of knowledge. I make myself the facilitator of learning. I'm not the inventor of biology. I did not uh, uh, I did not start biology. I'm not the father of taxonomy or genetics or whatever. So the knowledge is already there. So what I do is I drive students to learning. So I make because I still do it. So I put them at the center of the process so that they do not feel bored. I study them. I tell them what they want to hear, and they like me. They like biology because I understand that. The same thing for writing. I primarily write for the Nigerian audience. I know what they want to read because I'm a Nigerian myself. Most people don't like reading. They don't want to hear anything novice. They don't want to hear it. And I looked at it. I asked myself why. Then I understood that they 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 do not like books, but they like watching movies. I understood that the kind of stories they tell in movies are not the ones they see in books. So I give them such kind of stories in books so that the books can be uh, not a replacement but an alternative option for the movies. So if the movies are not available, when they read the books equally feel like movies. So I give them movies in text on papers. So that is the experience uh, of my adventures through school. Uh, is what shaped my writing and my teaching. Of course, plus other personal life experiences, but we could never exhaust that topic if you dive into them. The advice, the advice I would give to those facing what seems to be an insurmountable challenge is that they should listen to themselves. There is a voice inside everyone. This voice uh, is independent of us. It is like a being inside us that knows us more than we do. And the voice is always directing us, it is always guiding us to what is right, away from what is wrong. So when people take the wrong directions, the voice is always there telling them it is the wrong direction. But the problem is most people don't uh, have the patience, or they don't have the uh, head, they don't have the ears, you know, to pick up the tones of their inner voice. So they go in the wrong directions. It's like someone setting out in the morning uh, with a blindfold around his head, and then he wants to drive outside, wants to drive to work or wherever he plans to go. He's definitely not going to get there because he's going to find himself, somewhere else, uh, probably even injured or something. So a man who will go far will have directions. A man who will go far in life will have directions. A man who has directions find it easy to overcome barriers, to overcome challenges, and directions are given by the inner voice. When you listen to your inner voice, you have directions. When you have directions, you have purpose. And then when you have purpose, then you have it, you know what you want. You don't just roam around. You have a direction you head, and having a direction makes life easier than just people are going this way, you go this way, people are going that way, you go that way, you don't have a direction. You are going to, if you don't have somewhere you're going to end up anywhere. So what the advice is that one should listen to oneself. The voice is always there, you just have to hear it. You have to hear it. And when passion, when your occupation, when your profession, when whatever work or craft or whatever it is that you are doing to get money is what you have passion for, wow, that would be great. But if not, you have to find a way to unite them in what I like to call beautiful amalgamation, or amalgamation of beautiful conflicts. So that way, life becomes easier to live. And while we do all this, we should never seal our we should never seal our hearts up to love. We should open our hearts to love, because love is what adds color to life. So when you live in black and white, you fail to see the beauty of the world. That is when you lack love. When you lack love, you don't have the colors. When you don't have the colors, you are living in black and white. You don't see the beauty. You don't see the beauty in anything. When you don't see the beauty in anything, then you can become easily depressive and hurt yourself, or you know do something that might hurt others. So what I would advise is that one should listen to the inner voice and have love. God will help us.
What advice would you give to those facing what seems to be an insurmountable challenge?
We should never seal our hearts up to love. We should open our hearts to love, because love is what adds color to life. So when you live in black and white, you fail to see the beauty of the world. That is when you lack love. When you lack love, you don't have the colors. When you don't have the colors, you are living in black and white. You don't see the beauty. You don't see the beauty in anything. When you don't see the beauty in anything, then you can become easily depressive and hurt yourself, or you know do something that might hurt others. So what I would advise is that one should listen to the inner voice and have love. God will help us.